Hello and welcome to episode 16 of Runners Only with Dom Harvey. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's part 2 with EricMurray.
When you're in the village, there's no alcohol, you don't really socialise. When you always hear those media stories about the fact that there's like 20,000 condoms given out in the Olympic village, and, it's a massive root fest. If there were massive orgies, I never got the invite.
And Eric wanted me to remind you, he is still on Dancing with the Stars, which we do talk about in this episode, and you can vote for him on 3333. Just text the word Eric to 3333, and you can keep him on Dancing with the Stars in New Zealand. Thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. If you can, where you get your podcast from, if you like it, feel free to give it a 5-star rating. If you don't like it 5 stars worth, then maybe don't rate it at all. Thanks very much. Okay, massive thanks to the sponsor of this week's episode, the new Huawei watch GT Runner. I have always been a Garmin watch wearer myself. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's one of the first GPS running watches I got, and you sort of stick with what you know. But I got sent one of these a couple of months ago from the nice people at Huawei, and honestly, it's a game changer. If you're an experienced runner, or even just someone that is thinking about getting into running, I would suggest you look into it. Do the research yourself and consider getting a Huawei watch, the GT Runner. This thing's amazing. It's got a built-in coach, so you get data and suggestions on training intensity, training volume, recovery time, and heaps more information like that, all from a single run. And it's also got a thing called the Running Ability Index to help runners accurately assess your current running ability, how fast you should be going, how far you should be going, and what your heart rate should be. And then it compares your goals from run to run. It is such a smart watch. I mean, smart in the way it looks, but also smart in the information you'll get back from it. So it's great for entry-level runners or serious runners. The battery life is the best I've ever seen in a watch. If you're using it a lot for runs and things, the battery will last a week. But if you're just using it as a wristwatch, the battery will last up to 2 weeks. 2 weeks, which is perfect if you're like me and you keep forgetting to charge your things. You can look at the Huawei Watch GT Runner at PB Tech, Noel Lemmings, and JB Hi-Fi. All right, let's get into the podcast.
Hey, runners only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is runners only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. This is runners only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is runners only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. Hey, runners only with Dom Harvey.
Runners Only with Dom Harvey, sitting in my dining room table with one of the greatest New Zealand sports people ever, EricMurray.
Ever? Shit, I know. It does baffle me that we won the bloody Halberg of the Decade.
When you're in the boat and you're like lining up for an Olympic final, are you shitting your pants, or are you like, okay, we trust the training?
Okay, good question. A lot of people ask that, and I talk to a lot of young kids and bits and pieces about it. And if you're not nervous when you're about to do something that you've been working towards, it doesn't mean enough, right? You're nervous. You're like, how's this going to go? Because it's all the anticipation, whatever. So even though that you're prepared, you're trained for something, if you're not nervous, that's all I've always said is that doesn't mean enough. And everybody has nerves and deals with nerves in different ways. So building up to Olympic final, an hour and a half out, Hamish is in the corner, eye mask on, just laying down on his bag. Here I am with music and going, fuck, I'm amping. I'm like walking around going, here we go. Like,
It's game day.
It's game day. I am on, right? And you see it. You see it with different sports. You see, you'll see rugby players like hitting their chest, and then you'll see other guys head down and they're just like, like looking very nervous. And so that's the way that people deal with their nerves. So, yeah, Olympic final, same thing. Sitting in the start blocks and you're like, oh, man, that's the worst feeling because it's about to happen. You've still got everything running through your head like, is it going to what's going to go wrong? Could something happen? Fuck, what if we break this? What if we do that?
I suppose that's the thing, like, because if you're expected to, I don't know if this will make you more nervous or less nervous, but, the pressure, the expectation where you're supposed to win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the pressure and expectation that we put on ourselves far exceeded anything externally from anybody else. But we were always just making sure we were trying to go as fast as we can and do everything as good as we can. Like, was the Olympic final our best ever race? Nah, Like we fucked the start up a little bit. We had a couple of bad strokes. You know, like what I mean? And,
what an asshole.
But literally
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
And I would struggle. I don't know. I reckon I'd struggle. It'd be a lovely question to ask a lot of Olympic champions. Go, was your final like everything you imagined? Was it everything you worked towards? You know, like in my head, it's like, you know, like it got. Not the first part of it, but as we progressed through it, at halfway I was like, we've won this. This is ours. It's ours to lose.
Unreal.
Because we were in front. We were in front by that far. I know I haven't overcooked myself, so I know that I can get to the finish line, and it's just a process from there, like keep going, boom, and we win. But, of course, the first part is there's a little bit of, fuck, people in front of us, shit, you know, like.
Yeah, that panic, yeah.
There's panic. There's all of that sort of stuff. So that all becomes part of it. And it was there from races at the Olympics to races at Karapiro to races at any World Cup, exactly the same feeling. I never ever once went into a thing just going, oh, hurry up and start because I just want to win this race and fucking be over with and go home. but that's what I mean is we never ever took anyone for granted. And I think because we nearly lost 1 year in 2010, every single race after that was like, we're just going to make sure we go as hard as we can till we're very comfortably leading, and then we'll consider just cruising from that point, but not cruising, but just staying where we are.
Doing enough to stay in the lead.
Not having to go to that fifth gear, not having to go to overdrive. We'll just stay in fifth gear and we'll just pump, but we're not going to have to dip into that extra gear.
Yeah.
That final, because in overdrive you've got about 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
You got 30
burning
seconds.
that match.
The match is just about to touch your fingers, and you're like, fuck, go, until it's out. We only ever had to go there once. And we were like, I don't want to go there again because that was like, you were absolutely tapped out to the point where we were like, when you were tying up, like literally going, fuck, I don't know if we've won this race, and you're looking across and got to look up to the scoreboard because we only won by like a foot, and you're like,
oh, that's
fuck,
nothing.
we got it. And you're like, holy shit. You know, it was that close.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want that to ever happen again.
Yeah.
Nope.
Wow.
Not happening.
Hey, I'm going to have to pause it here and go for a pee. We've drunk 3 beers. It's been like an hour 20, but there's still more to discuss. But I normally drink wine, so...
Oh, we'll have a wine then.
Okay, the beer's gone straight through me. So
all right, sweet.
maybe while I'm gone for a pee, you can just talk about like how you celebrate afterwards. So you win an Olympic gold medal. Then
Okay.
what? Massive night?
Okay, so we're going to tell some stories. Okay, so this one time in London, we went to this club in Soho called The Box. Anyone knows The Box in Soho? Holy shit, that was a great night. So, to all the listeners out there, was it a massive night? Did we all get hammered? No. Majority because when we live in the Olympic Village, it's a dry village. So, one of the things that Dom will love this one, and I think I might have talked to him about it before, when you're in the village, there's no alcohol, you don't really socialise. So for everyone listening, when you always hear those media stories about the fact that there's like 20,000 condoms given out in the Olympic Village, and it's a massive root fest and everyone's like ganging up on everyone and having a great time. If there was 10,000 condoms, I've only ever seen a couple, and if there were massive orgies, I never got the invite. So let's put that there. But no, we celebrate well sort of after the team's finished. When the team's all done and the rowing's all over, we normally have like a celebration thing afterwards. But in London, we won, we went home, and then we had to be back to the lake at fucking 5:30 in the morning for 6 o'clock news and fucking TV. So, of course, you got to get up sparrows fart early in the morning to be able to like do the media. So that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're absolutely exhausted. You've spent everything. Like it's a full rut, and emotions have just literally gone. You're like, this is 4 years of fucking work. I'm done. Like you're like,
Is it just more relief that you got the job done?
100%. Yeah, there's so much relief. You're like, thank God that's over. I'm fucking worked so hard for this, and the week's been long and every day's been stressful, and it's waiting. It's just waiting. And then you're just like, okay, right, it's done. You're out, you're finished. And then you get to see your family, and then you go back, you're doing drug tests, you're doing something else, you're hungry because you've missed lunch or whatever time you have to race. So I think in London we raced at like 2:30 in the afternoon. So of course it just winds up on you, and and there's all this stuff that goes on. So at the end of it, you're like, fuck, we'll just wait till everyone's done, and then you have a few parties. And the Olympic Games is really good. Like first few years, when we're in Athens and Beijing, there's parties every night, different things like, Sports Illustrated will put one on, or Adidas or Nike or someone will put it on, and you're just like, let's go. And it'll be at a club somewhere. And, of course, you walk in with your accreditation and you're just hitting it up. And that's it, And so it's great fun. And we're lucky because we're in the first week. So when the first week's finished, we...
you just get to enjoy it. Oh, that's a dream scenario.
We get like 12 days.
Yeah.
Just like, and like in Athens, my first in Athens.
What year was Athens?
2004.
So you were in the eights or something?
We're in the four.
Four, yeah.
I'm 21-year-old. One of the best times of my life. It was just like every night there was a party. We just went, like Heineken puts on this massive thing, and it was this Heineken house. Some next person would finish, next team would finish, or we'd go and watch the hockey that night. We'd go watch this, and then you just go, right, we're going straight to Heineken house, because like you're there,
you've done the job,
or you're finished,
yeah.
And you're just like, let's go, let's enjoy this atmosphere, and you go to the stadium and you'd watch a night session, and then you'd go to this place and there's a party till 3 a.m. Boom, and then you'd get up, you'd be, kayaking's on tomorrow, like fucking Ben Fui at the time was racing. Get on the bus at 6:30 and you're like in the back of the bus, and of course, food hall, there's food, so you're getting free Maccas, you've got Cokes in your bag, you're just like lying, you're asleep in the bus, and then you're asleep in the stand for a bit, and then it all starts, and so but that's it. Every day was just like party, watch and support the team, repeat, party, watch the team, support, repeat. And it got less as I got older because I was like, I can't handle this. The body is just not that. But I did 12 days straight. It was amazing. Horrific, but amazing. Not like horrific on the body. Amazing experience. And I came back from Athens, and I was like, when does training start? I want to go to Beijing.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, really? It was like addictive.
So when you sign up for going to the Olympics, you sign up for 4 years. 4 years of opportunity cost. Not opportunity. You sign up for the next 4 years. Whatever the hell happens, I want to be in the team, and I don't just want to be a participant. I want to be winning a fucking medal, because you see what people, they're winning medals, and you're like, wow, that's your dream. You've got to the Olympics. That's stage one. You've made the New Zealand team. You've made the Olympic team. The final stages are winning a medal or becoming an Olympic champion. That's top of the level, right? So you see people winning Olympic medals, and they're like, I'm coming back next time so I can win. And you're like, wow. And here's you not even getting a medal going, wow, here we go. And that's what it's about. And that's high-level sport. And like, if you want to be, that you're there. That you're in that top percentage of trying to get to that point, and you're just like, I've got to do a little bit more work, or I have to do a little bit more time, or focused, or whatever, or change the way that you're doing it. So, we went 4 in Beijing, 4 in Athens, 4 in Beijing, and then Hamish was like, let's go on the pier because we need to change something.
Oh, so Hamish Bond was in the 4s with you as well.
And he was in the 4 in Beijing.
Right. And then he called you and said, hey, why don't we buddy up and
do the pair?
Right. Why did he pick you and not one of the other guys? What did he like about you?
Because we had actually trained together in the pair when we were in the 4, and we had some magic then. So when we were in the 4, you'd split up, and there was me and Hamish, me, James, and Carl. So there was me and Carl on bow side, which is rowing out to the left, and then Bondi and James rowing out to the right. So when Bondi and Carl rowed together and James and I rowed together, it was very even. When Bondi and I rowed together and James and Carl rowed together, we'd be hundreds of metres in front of them. Like, literally, we were killing them. And so when we raced against even the guys, George and Nathan, that got a bronze in Beijing, we fucking nailed them. So hindsight, we should have gone on the pair in Beijing.
Yeah, earlier.
But at the time, you're world champions, and they're like silver medalists. So you're like, well, we should. If we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to win. But we obviously fucking didn't. But that was the mentality. So yeah, we knew we were good, and he went back training early because I was like, fuck, I'm taking a break, because it was like heartbreaking going, man, I've been here for 8-9 years already and I haven't got nothing. So I just need a bit of time. And then of course he rang me up in like December and said, bro, and I sent an email. I said, do you want to do the pair? And I said to Jackie, can I do the pair? And she's like, well, how are you going to pay the bills? Because there was no funding. I didn't have any funding. Right. So I'm like, well, okay. So I said, look, I'm going to have to work. So we're either going to have to train real early, or else I'll train in the morning, and then I'll have to train by myself in the afternoon. We did that, and then Dick picked us up. He said, oh, well, I'll coach you guys. And then we raced at Carapura, like one of the races, and we absolutely thumped it. And it was fast. It was real fast.
Is that the point you realised, oh, shit, we're onto something here? Or was it even earlier in training?
I think I could pick the time, like, so at the time the world record was like 6:14. And okay, Carapura has a little bit of flow if the dam's on. But we did a race at like this North Island Champs, and we did like 6:19. So we're only like 5 seconds off the world record. And the next people behind us were like 6:28, 6:29. So we won by like nearly 10 seconds. And so even then, everyone was like, oh, these guys are fast. And like, if you're 5 seconds off on a, not even in peak fitness, the water's not that different. No, it's not that different. It's still 2,000 metres. You're like, holy shit, here we go. And then basically from there, you know, we were only a second off the world record in the first year that we were together. So we knew we were good. And it just, that was it. That was the catalyst for like, the rest of the career.
Yeah. Oh, what an amazing career. Like 2012, like you guys shaved, I think this was at the Olympics, right? You guys shaved 6 seconds off the world record in your heat.
That's the funniest story, that one.
Is it? That is just mind-blowing.
So, jump on the water, do the warm-up. It's a good little tailwind, doing some pieces, and Bonnie was like, that's pretty quick. Because he's got a little speed coach on his feet, and I can't see it. So he just sets and like it's there for speed, like just rhythm and rating. So he could look down and go, you know, you've got a flow and a rhythm, but if you're still rating like 40 strokes a minute, you're like, fuck, we need to wind this back a couple because we can't rate 40 all the way down. It's just too much on the body. So you know he'll say something and we'll just lengthen it out. We used to call it stride. So got into the blocks and I said, like, we haven't raced for like 6 weeks. Let's just have a good push over the course. We won't take the foot off the pedal. We're not going to sprint to the line because I was like, we'll see what everyone's doing, but we should be able to keep it. So we went past, the French bolted out. We went with them. We were in the lead at about 750, half a length at 1,000. And then we just kept the speed going. And we just kept it going all the way. And so we finished. And like I've watched the race many a times. It's on YouTube.
And you just sat at home watching it, having a whiskey?
But we finish. We finished the race. And you know, and we roll off the end of the finish line. And then I'm like, because they're like, are you going that way to get off the pontoon, or are you going to warm down? And I'm like, oh, we'll go this way. So like, we're not even tapped out, right? We're not tapped out.
Unbelievable.
And so we do this warm down, and everyone's like clapping on the sideline. Like, thank you, yeah, great, yeah, it's good. And I was like, must have been quick. And Hamish was like, oh, and I said, how fast was that? He was, oh, fuck, I forgot to start the speed coach. So he didn't even get the time. Because normally he starts it and automatically picks it up. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Warmed down, went into the pontoon. Like, vice president of the IOC, like John Coe, president of the World Rowing, and everyone's coming down. Well done, boys. It's amazing. And I'm like, just won the heat. What? And they go, oh, no, you just fucking broke the world record by 6 seconds. I was like, oh.
Smashed the world record.
Shit. Yeah. And so we had no idea because by the time we had warmed down and gone, we never saw, because like the times don't pop up until everyone's finished. One of the crews had literally fucking rode it down because only the top 3 go through and there's 4 crews. So one of them, as soon as they were behind, they just, fuck it, we're going to paddle down. Because what's the point in wasting your energy when you've got to race like tomorrow to get into the next round? So they were like 200-300 metres behind. So we had no idea at the time until we had warmed down and got off, and then everyone's just like, holy shit. And then, of course, everyone in the boat park's just like, shaking their heads going, how the fuck did you go that hard?
Because I suppose when you think of world records being broken in any sport, you think of like tenths of a second or 6 seconds is demolishing it.
Yeah. And I didn't think we were there. Like in our training speed, I thought we were good enough to probably, like we never went out to break records because you can only do every world record in rowing is set in hot water, fast race where it's very competitive and in good tailwind conditions. And it's called a world best time. It's not quite a record, but everyone calls it fucking world record anyway. And so it's done like that. And so of course, it clicked. We were right. And in a way, was it the fact that we were just so relaxed and just rowing with the boat that we went that fast? Like if we were in a stressful situation, would we have tightened up? Would it have got a little bit frantic? Would we have actually lost some speed by not being loose and just letting the boat run? So that relaxation really did it. But, it just aligned. Whether peak fitness, boom, and yeah, and so
that's
it was just
outstanding.
amazing.
My God.
So it was shit. It was good, and I was just like, maybe it is that fast.
One of those things that may stand for years.
Well,
Yeah.
but it would, yeah. Shit,
Yeah, would that bother you if it gets beaten?
Oh,
Or
no, because like, everyone has their mark and everyone wants to do it. I'd love to keep it for as long as I can.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're just a caretaker, right?
Yeah, and
You set a standard.
Yeah, no one's going to hold it forever. But the
No.
fact that you did it, and you did it in such I don't know, epic fashion, 6 seconds. It's
Yeah, and so we're caretakers for it. The
Yeah.
crew that before us, and then the crew that did it before them. So everybody knows that there's always going to be a progression, and it's technology, it's fitness, it's human physiology, all the way down the line. It's different water conditions or whatever, and that's it. Yeah.
And what's your relationship with Bondi like now? Are you friends? You text each other? I'm guessing after being in each other's faces every day for like 10 years.
What did Bondi send me today? Should we have a look? We could. Hey, Bondi, we're just going to pull this up online in front of Dom. No, he was asking me about the pool, and I.
Because where does he live? You live in Cambridge. Where does he live?
He was in Cambridge. His wife Lizzie is a surgeon, so she was working at Tauranga Hospital, and now she's got her. I think she might be even chief placement, maybe in Dunedin. So I think they're going to move back to Dunedin. And she's going to be surgeon down in Dunedin Hospital.
I mean, you guys have got this amazing connection or bond or whatever you want to call it that is there for life. And I'm sure as you get older and you look back, you'll be like, fuck, that was the coolest thing ever.
The one thing with Bondi
but you're very different people though, eh?
Oh, 100%. Like I'd say Bondi and I are very, very good friends. Would you call us mates? Probably not.
You're so different.
Yeah, so even when we were training, because we were at different, especially in the first part, I was like married to Jackie. He was he even dating? Yeah, he was dating Lizzie. But that was it, and I think he had only just started seeing her, so completely different. So in the social circles, we were sort of more with Jackie's circle and what she was doing with her equine stuff than I was. Like I'd do a little bit with the Roman, not a lot. Whereas he was still very much, he was flatting at the time, so you just socialise with the people that you've got. And then as it progressed through the time, and then we got, we were already married, and then, and then we had Zach in 2011. So it just changes your social groups. Yeah. And so even to a point where I'd be like, sweet, I'll see you this afternoon. And we would be, the business relationship, if you want to call it, was epic. It was just 100% trust, get down, talk, blah, 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 like that. And then when we went away, he did his shit, I did my shit. And that's how it worked. I'd never ring him up and go, hey, bro, you want to go get a coffee or should we go to the pub?
I suppose when you spend so much time together, you don't need to do that.
Yes, and I think that's probably what worked. But then in saying that, like when we were doing events or anything, we would be like, oh, take a car, jump in the car, do whatever. So there's that very good friendship side of it, like very, very good friendship, because what you've achieved together is massive. But is it to a point where you'd be like, oh, bro, I'm stuck with some cash. Can you hit me up? You know what I mean? Like as a mate, like that side of things. I don't think we're at that level, but friendship wise, trust, everything was right up there. Yeah. And that's just what probably made us very good, because you just didn't have that conflict resolution where shit's going very bad and you've got to question your mateship, so to speak. You'd be like, fuck, this guy's been a wanker or he's doing this wrong, whatever. We never had to have that. We never
you never had like a big falling out or anything, or no. Wow, that is honestly exceptional.
No, and there was probably things that I pissed Hamish off with. And
I reckon he would have been really annoyed with you a lot of it.
But there, like in a way, because that was what used to happen. But we got to know each other so well to a point where Hamish was the guy that goes to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. He's like, let's turn the lights out. We're going to bed. And of course, and I'm like, fuck, bro, it's only 9 o'clock. Like whatever. And I'm a bit of a night owl. And of course, at the time, I'm FaceTiming Zach back home, or I'm just FaceTiming Jackie. So when I saw him getting ready for bed and he's brushing his teeth, I'm like, right, he'd wear earplugs. So to mitigate it, he'd wear earplugs and eye mask. He'd turn off the lights, and I'd either have the.
So iPad. You guys were sharing rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, when?
So you talk the whole time. Well, not all the time, but any time at a regatta or something, we'd have the same bedroom.
Really?
Yeah.
Grown ass men.
Yeah, because we're on a government-funded sport trip here, pal.
Right.
So
but if government officials are going overseas, they're not sharing.
No. Yeah, but this is the thing, bro. This is the whole thing about government sport. Everyone thinks we're fucking in these hotels and shit. No way. Like we're in a hotel, but it's like twin rooms the whole way. Like even to the point sometimes where Emma would be with, like, say, the women's coxswain, and Mahe would have like the men's coxswain or something like that. Like there'd be a few single rooms, but even some of the coaches were like apart from dickheads, I remember, but because no one fucking wanted to stay with him, but but it was literally that level, and in a way, it's like that's what it, like I always looked at it as well. Always looked at it as well as the fact that this is government funding. It's people, they're paying sport. We're paid by the government. They're the ones pumping the money into it. And yet that money could be used now. I put my hat on with the Autism New Zealand. I'm like, fucking, you give $1 million to us, we could make a fucking lot of difference with that. Whereas you guys had fucking got hotel rooms in Europe. Do you know what I mean? So
I get what you mean. But they don't get, every time the government spends money on something, everyone's they were going to spend X amount of millions on a cycle lane clip-on for the Harbour Bridge, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's money that could be used for." I don't know, insert whatever you want here.
There was 700 fucking million.
I know. But it's you can always argue that the taxpayers' money can be spent better elsewhere. Yeah, but what you guys have done, like it was money well spent. Like
we did it justice.
Provided a lot of joy for New Zealanders.
We did, and that's it. We did it justice. And I'd like to say I haven't really seen anyone in rowing, especially, that have just gone, fuck it, I'll just get in the team so I don't have to get a job. I've never seen that, and I think that's a good thing.
Anyone that is that driven to make an Olympics team, you talked before about sacrifice versus opportunity lost. Anyone that is that driven could do so well and make so much money in the corporate world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you are financially, I don't know what your situation is at all, but financially you're in a worse position now than if you had a job and worked here and put the same effort into your job.
Yep. And the thing with sport is it's pretty... it's pretty secure, like you do well and it's like, here's your money for the next year, and you're like, sure, here we go. And then if you win the World Championships, you get a 2-year exemption. So then you're like, fuck, next 2 years, even if we have a shit year next year, which is good, right? And I think they were even talking about taking it to like an Olympic level where if you won an Olympic medal, the next 4 years you've got secured funding at say $60K for the next 4 years. So then you could try new shit. You could test the boundaries, and if it didn't pay off, because what happens at the moment is if you can go there and you can get fourth 1 year and get, say, 50K, if the next year you get eighth, you go down to 40K. And it's literally the next payment that comes out from the government. It's 40K, or a percentage every bi-weekly payment. So you're like going, holy shit. And that's what it is. That's the reality of Olympic sport.
That is brutal.
Yep.
Brutal. So 69 wins unbeaten. Why didn't you go for one more race?
We actually raced together quite a bit at Karapiro. If you take all of those into the equation, it's 98.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so that's the number of official, like you've got to be officially umpired / official registered races. Blah blah blah. 98 is the number.
Do you worry that the second half of your life's going to be... I don't know, you're still in your late 30s now, right? What are you, 39? 38?
Yeah, 39.
Not that you have to top it or anything, but it's like, I don't know, there's still so much life left to live, but it's like you're too young to rest on your laurels and not...
Oh, yeah. Oh, but see, that's the thing is like, right, like sport is finite. Not all sports, but most sports are finite, right? Rugby, football... Any Olympic sports, probably except archery, shooting, or maybe equestrian. Like this. You can go quite later in life in a few of those, but anything else, you've got a window of opportunity.
Yeah, true.
And that's what I say to a lot of the kids and stuff I talk to. I'm like, look, honestly, just go for it. Like, give it a go. And if it pays off, it pays off. It's fun. It's hard, but it's fun. Like. Even if you don't achieve what you're hoping to achieve, the journey alone you learn so much from, and you go to some amazing places. Like shit, we've been to some amazing places in Europe and seen some beautiful sights, and we basically travel the world. Well, I wouldn't say we travel the world for free because you don't get to go out a lot, but you go to some places and then on our Sunday off you'll be like, fuck, maybe we'll go up Mount Pilatus. Let's get the cable car up. We'll go up the top, and you're like, wow, or Jungfrau, we're at the top of Europe. and you'll go see different things in Rome or in France, Eiffel Tower, so there's a lot of things you get to do, which other people are like, I'm going to pay it out of my pocket. So you can do certain things, but at the same time, you're there for that side of it as well. So, we went to one of the stages of Tour de France, which was just outside of Belgium one time, fucking watch them zoom past it. We're like, there's like 10 minutes of all this fucking shit comes past, and all this stuff comes past, and then you're like, here comes the race. You're like, you can see the helicopters in the distance. You're like, oh yeah, where it goes. And then it's boom, and it's literally Tour de France, and you're watching yellow jersey go past. You're like, oh shit, it goes Froome, and you're just like, man, that was amazing, and then here comes the last the stragglers and shit like that. And then you're like, wow, we just watched Tour de France live. You're like, those are the best guys in the world on the juice. But hey, whatever.
all of them on the yeah. It's funny, the Lance Armstrong thing. Like I used to do a bit of cycling, and so when he did the Oprah interview, it was like, well, we all kind of knew anyway. Like it's the dirtiest sport ever.
Oh,
everyone's on the juice.
The problem that I don't like about it was all the way that he dealt with people.
Oh yeah, I think that's the thing. He was an asshole.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I know he was trying to save his thing, but at the end of the day, he did a lot of good for the Cancer Trust to Live Strong, and he did a lot of good for other shit. Did he make a lot of money criminally? Yeah, fucking he did.
US Postal Service probably did quite well out of it too.
100%, and that's why he probably will never go to jail for it, because they're like,
it's all sorted now. Yeah, and he how's this? So he invested in Uber early on, so he's worth like 100 million or something. How does he get that much good luck?
It's mad. Yeah, I know.
Anyway, okay, I put on Instagram yesterday that I'm having a chat with you. Any questions? Oh my God.
Here we go.
There were so many. One that came out like 5 or 6 times. People asking me if you've ever taken it was like a swan or a goose to a bar.
Do you want to see the picture? Yeah, I have, because it's on my Instagram.
What was it, a swan or a goose?
So it was. What
are you up to?
Lucerne, 2008, we were at the party.
Okay, so 2008. So this is when you're in the fours. So this is when we're
in the fours,
right? So you weren't proper famous then.
We had actually had a really shit fucking race. I don't even think we're in the final. We're in the I don't know if we got fifth or we were in the B final. One or the other. No, we got fifth, and we were like, fuck, shit. Okay, we're gonna have to go away and train pretty hard. And these Canadian guys that I got on really well with, this guy, and we were pretty drunk. At this place called Mr. Pickwick's. Anyone that's been to Lucerne will know Mr. Pickwick's, right on the river. And it's just like, it's an Irish bar, but it's like got Australian, New Zealand, island flag, like
an expat bar.
Expat bar. And then one of the boys was like, God, you want to go catch a swan? And I was like, this is a great idea. This is a great idea.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I just shown Dom the photo.
Oh, my God.
So we basically jumped in Lake Lucerne, and he went round one side of a boat that was moored, and I went round the other side, and we grabbed the swan. That
looks heavy, by the way. It looks heavy.
They weigh probably about 25 to 30 kilograms. And so we grabbed the swan.
How do you grab a swan?
Aren't
they quite vicious?
Yeah. So that thing was like biting us and stuff. And like we weren't like, I was still like, we don't want to hurt it. At the time, I was like, let's not hurt, make sure we're not hurting this thing. So we dragged each other out. We were in jeans at the time, like out in butt in jeans on. So we had wet jeans, but we took our tops off to swim. Stupidly, we were like, why didn't we take all that gear off? But we swam in there. And so then we just walked it back down to the bar. And of course, the bar's overflowing onto the footpath. And so we just walked into the middle of this thing. And people unexpectedly, the swan, like the swan's head, would just poke it in front of these girls' faces, and they're squealing, screaming, and everyone was like, holy shit, these guys have caught a swan. And of course, it's right at the start of mobile phone technology cameras, so most people had a digital camera, so they're just whatever. And of course, so we took it, but then of course the bar lady came out and she goes, and in her Irish accent, fucking put that down, and she's like, put it back in the water, I'll call the police, and so we put it back. So yeah, but it was just at the spur of the moment thing, and it was just like, wow. And so it's one of the very, I think, first pictures on my Instagram at the time, but yeah.
Your career's been so good. Stuff like that you could have got away with then, but you
couldn't do it now.
Couldn't get away with now.
Way.
Because of your status, social media, phones. And
yeah, and that's one thing I've seen. Oh, yeah. That's one thing I've seen in my time is shit. I remember being in Beijing and we all went to the silk markets and bought counterfeit iPhones in 2008. It was the year they got released. And so we all bought iPhones for $50. And we brought them back to New Zealand, and they worked. The only thing that didn't go in them was the GPS.
Right.
So we had iPhone.
Were they counterfeit, or were they
counterfeit? 100%.
Or were they legit? They were taken from the factory.
Everything worked.
Right.
Everything worked in it, including all the at the time there was only about half a dozen apps like Notes and Mail and stuff like that. All worked except the GPS.
Right.
So you couldn't. The Safari worked, everything, but the GPS and it felt a bit heavier and stuff like that, and the charge didn't really last, whatever. But it was a full counterfeit, $50. And so we were buying them, and we bought them back, and we're like, hey, look at my iPhone. And it cost 2008.
Why would you get in trouble for that? I feel like that's...
No, we're not getting in trouble for it, but I'm just saying, that was the shit that we've done over time. But no, I haven't done anything. The only questionable one, which we got to, in Switzerland, they are not, you do not ride a bike without a helmet. Especially when you've been on the booze. And Jade, my mate of mine, Jade, hey Jade, bro, if you're listening, and
police fine you? Or?
No, we finished, as I was talking about before, about going to these festivals. We left this festival probably, I don't know, 12 o'clock, and we were biking down to the Macca's to have a feed, and of course the cops and we're like shit, and they pulled us up, and they're like, no, and we were like, sorry, New Zealand, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we don't know.
They're like, you do not ride your bikes here without the thing. And they were like, we will take them off you and whatever. And so we're like, shit. So then we had to we walked them down the rest of the way to that. And then we walked them to the outskirts of town until we got to the bike path that we knew we were going to go down by the edge of the lake. And then we jumped on them. But of course, we were biking through town, literally middle of the night without a helmet on, no lights, no nothing. So, but if we had got pulled up and we were too drunk, and they'd been like, you're in the back of the car, imagine ringing up management going, hey, Jan, we're fucking in the cop shop.
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean is a lot of time, we've seen it with rugby players and that, they get too drunk and they have a fight, or someone pushes them around at a pub. Next minute it's media, and so-and-so Dan Carter got kicked out of a pub, whatever it is. That sort of level, but we avoided it. Probably because it wasn't bad, but it's still, if someone finds out about that, they're going to that's big news.
That's an outcry. What year was it that Stephen Fleming and Dion Nash got caught smoking weed? Do you remember that for the Black Caps?
It was very early on.
Right.
Must have been early 2000s.
Right. Mate, do you think part of it is maybe because sports like cricket and rugby have a higher sort of profile and therefore more scrutiny?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But we never, apart from that, I don't think there's anything. I've never done anything quick. I've been at I remember a couple of speeches I've been to, one in Queenstown one time, and this was after London, and it started getting a bit rowdy, and you could just sense that these guys were like, and that guy there, and you could just sense a little bit of aggression, and I just went, I'm out, I'm off, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Because, they're like, oh, what, because you had... The medals were getting shown because it was just after we'd won, and they were with this corporate thing we were doing, and they were showing, they're like, oh, aren't you going to give them to us to have a look? And then you can just sense the aggression. And they're like, oh, you think you're too fucking good for us? And I'm like, I'm out. I'm off. I don't need this. I don't need a fight to start, anything to happen. And so you just remove yourself from the equation. And that's sort of what I've tried to do from then on. I've only been in trouble once for when I tweeted one time about the election.
Oh, that's right. You were like, John Key's got my vote or something on the day of the...
I said JK.
Right.
And, of course, next minute I'm getting this phone call from, the Herald going, just blah, blah, blah. You've just broken an election. Fuck off, I have. And they're like, yep, you just said go and vote for National. And I was like, no, I didn't. I said, JK, you got my vote. And they're like, you're not even allowed to say that. And, of course you weren't.
Yeah.
But it was that, when was that? Was that 20... when was it? 2010? Whatever it was.
Right.
And, of course, they had no idea about social media in the election, and on the election they can't say shit, blah, 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 blah. So there's a few of us that got pinned up and made a part of in the media. And I was actually quite afraid because...
Were you actually?
Well, because they were talking about election fraud.
Right.
And of course, at the time...
Oh, they're never going to uphold it, though, are they?
No, but they weren't going to. But, of course,
did you think they might make an example of you?
No, but I had a phone call from, the board of Rowing New Zealand and stuff saying, hey, we've just read this about that. This could be quite serious. And you're like, fuck! and so you literally sit there going, shit. When you have your CEO or your board, say, look, we'll... if anything comes of this, we'll have to deal with it. And you're like, you're sitting at home going, is this going to happen? And so I was a little bit for a while, and then, of course, nothing. Yeah. But it wasn't like someone rang you up and said, oh, hey, we're not even going to do anything about it. But in the article, it said that the police had been informed and they would be following up. So I'm like going, oh, shit.
Just waiting for that knock on the door.
But, of course, then you go on social media and, of course, you look at everyone's like, at the time, I think you could just search like words. And there's thousands of people going, go vote for Labour, vote National, like whatever it was or the opposite. And so I'm like, well, if they make an example of me, you can't not do that with those people.
Yeah, but I suppose they'd argue that you're like a person of influence.
But I was like, at the time, I was like, oh, I've only got 10,000 Twitter followers. So it's not like, and you could have someone with 500 friends. So,
yeah.
And half of mine might be international. So are you gonna break it down?
It's a very, it's a grey area, hard to enforce. I'm sure some other people did it as well, like Israel Dag or.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Izzy Dag, yeah.
And I think it was like Jonah at the time and a few other people. But they just made a story. Someone.
Yeah.
Just
a media
some
beat up.
journalist had to make a story.
Yeah. Imagine that, doing journalism for 3 years just so you can scroll Instagram and try and call people out.
They're still there, eh?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They've got like a whole team of people that just
absolutely. And they'll screen cap it, so it doesn't matter if you delete it if it's up there for more than a couple of minutes.
I'm not going to lie. I have been very good. There's been, even in the last year or two, I have been so close to just be like commenting on some dumbass's thing about not like getting vaccinated. I'm like, you mother, I'm like, you're a
don't bite.
I'm like, don't say it. Don't comment. Shut your mouth.
Come on, Eric.
Do what your granddad always said. He just said, keep your mouth shut. Like okay, keep it shut. And I've been very good, even though sometimes you were just like, I want to jump on the bandwagon with everyone else.
Yeah. Okay, so some more questions. These were from Instagram. The handlebar moustache, is it ever going to return?
I'm liking the beard at the moment.
Yeah, the beard looks good on you.
I could pull the handlebar back at some stage.
Yeah.
Maybe if I make the final of dancing, we'll see if I can do
is that right? Is that a promise?
It's not a promise, but...
How are you feeling about the dancing? Because you have said you've got 2 left feet.
So far, according to Lauren, we're doing very, very well.
Right.
She's like, you've got these routines. We've already learnt 2 full routines.
I've been asked to do it before, but I'd struggle to remember.
A little bit.
Is it hard to, because it's like a 2-minute dance?
But it's just fast.
Right.
And then you forget something or you fuck something up, and then you're like... You remember that rather than thinking about what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're not the right way and you're like, oh, this is shit. And so then in practice you can stop, but in full thing, you're just going to have to go for it. So, I think it'll be all right. It's a popularity contest at the end of the day. Yeah. So the people that are going to win are the ones that are going to get all the votes. So I'll just see if I've got enough supporters that'll be like, yeah, Eric, we want to see you dance.
I wouldn't put it past you. I mean, it seems like everything you do is quite methodical, like whether it's the rowing, whether it's like Celebrity Treasure Island, whether it's the boxing. So
I'll give it a good whirl. I am literally, we are training full time.
How many hours?
We did about 25 to 30 last week.
Right.
And yeah, so we are trying to do as much as we can.
Because when you sign up, what do they tell you the commitment is? How many hours?
About 16 hours.
16 hours.
It's about 3 hours a day, sort of 3 to 4 hours a day, sort of 4 or 5 days a week.
So I had David Talley on the podcast a few weeks ago, the brown butterbean, and he said, they said I'd have to do this many hours, and I just started laughing at him. I was like, bro, I was married to JJ when she was on it. I was working with Randall when he was on it. The amount of hours they do, if you want to do well, it is mind-blowing. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, it's just repetition. It's like you've just got to get something right. It's like you're going left, right, twirl, down the line, left, right, grapevine, front, back, that, while holding a pose with your head out to the left, doing this, swinging your arm to the right on this fucking step. You're like, holy shit. Do you know what I mean? It is literally, when you watch people do ballroom and they throw out, twist, come back, dip, that. You've just got to remember not only like the moves, the direction, the body, the swirl. Fuck, you're like, holy shit, here we go. So it's just, you just got to find a way to be able to do it. And like, see, rowing was easy because we just did the same stroke every fucking time and tried to perfect it. Whereas this is like, you've got to do a whole different sequence of steps and then next one for, I think, about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And you're like, shit, it's a minute and a half. Like I think it is a minute and a half to 2 minutes of stuff, and you're like, wow, okay.
I think the key is to like start shit and progress from there. Like if you look at Simon Barnett, who won it,
I'll see if I finish it.
More questions. What's an ERG? Is that like a rowing machine?
An erg.
Erg. What's an erg?
Rowing machine.
Okay.
It's called an ergometer because it's a measure of power.
Right. Okay.
So,
Someone asked, did you listen to music? Do you listen to music when you're on the erg?
Yeah. So it's like, when you're in the rowing machine in the gym. And because you just got to sit on there for like half an hour. It's like on a treadmill. Like, would you just run there with nothing on?
No, it's boring as
Yeah, so but if you can listen to something, you're like, oh, and next minute you're like, fuck, it's been 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in rowing, you've just got to sit on the rowing machine because the only way to get better at rowing is to row.
Yeah.
But if you can't get on the water, you sit on a rowing machine. Yeah, and so that's basically any rower would do that. So we listen to music or I'd watch videos or whatever and just
pass the time.
Yeah.
When did you start rowing?
High school.
Right.
I love it. You go to schools and they'll be like, oh, we need our kids to go to school. We need to get into rowing. I just go, look, there's heaps of hot boys, heaps of hot girls, whatever way you go, and you get fucking heaps of time off school. And you tell kids that, you go, look, you got Māori Cup, it's a week and a half.
That's a big deal, right?
North Island, you get half a week. There's these regattas. They might let you go on a Thursday night, so you can do half down Thursday. So you just tell kids what they want to hear. And you go, you'll get fit. And as I say, there's hot chicks, hot boys, whatever way you go, whatever. And you'll be like, you'll really enjoy it. It's racing. Yeah, but of course, and they'll be like, oh, wow. And then you go, look, and you go to regattas and you might win something. You might win a race or who cares? You win it, you get in B final, you get T-shirts, you do this. And of course, you just have a great time. And next minute, they're like, signed up.
It's like you're an accidental athlete, eh? You're just like looking for that loophole.
They're literally the reason I started rowing was to get time off school. I shit you not. I just want time off school.
It worked out pretty good. Someone asked, if not Hamish, then who else?
I don't think I would have been as successful without Hamish.
Yeah.
There's no way.
And vice versa, for sure.
Yeah, Hamish always said that he didn't think two Hamish bonds would go as well as Hamish and Eric.
Right.
And I still don't.
What does that mean?
Well, if he doubled himself.
Right, okay, gotcha.
So if he was able to duplicate himself and go, he was like, nah, it's not going to go as well as me and him.
Why? Why did he say that?
Because I think they would have just been like too clashy with their pessimism.
Yeah.
Whereas he... No, because he like, Hamish would go, oh, fuck, this could go wrong or that could go wrong. And of course, I was like, nah, it should be right, bro. Let's just give it a whirl. You know, like, and I was the leveler to his, like, anxiety of, like, shit, this is going to, whatever. And I'd be like, don't worry about it. And then, of course, if he was feeling, like, if he was, like, stressed or he's like, fuck, I'm having a bad day, even if I was having a bad day, I'd be like, that's all right, bro. Let's just get this. Let's get up to here. Let's focus on this part. We'll stop here. I'll be like, have a quick drink. Let's regather, you know, and so whatever. So, but of course, if he was there, they'd be like, fuck, we can't stop. It's, you know, like, would have been too much together. So I don't think, even at the time, there was a couple of guys good enough around, but I just don't think anybody.
Yeah.
Hamish was a freak. And to be fair.
And you were too.
Yeah. I was good, but not to his freakish level.
Right.
He is literally a specimen where you go, his power to weight, you know, he was 90 kilograms, basically doing the same sort of power I could do. So he's free. In the world, he was probably almost number one in rowing on power to weight ratio, all this stuff.
Okay, well, that might negate this next question. Is it true that you rowed in the erg before each race to prevent yourself from overpowering Hamish?
All the time.
So it's basically saying you had to burn off some gas before.
So the way, there's the secrets. The way that we worked is that I could overpower Hamish if I wanted to. But in the first part of the race, I would temper my ability to make sure our boat went straight. Because if your boat's, like, because I've got leverage on him, if I put the power on, the boat actually tilts sideways and basically crabs into the water and will slow down, right? It's going sideways rather than it going straight. So in the first, say, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, if I just made sure I applied my power properly, then we'd go straight. And then by the time we were in the middle of the race, I was trying to keep up with Hamish.
Right.
That's his physiology.
Okay, gotcha.
I was like, I'm on the red line and he's on the red line and we're going straight, which it shouldn't do because he's a physical specimen.
Wow.
If he was in the bow, I still reckon we would have struggled. I'd be like, fuck, I can't hold you. But then in outright power, if we were doing sprints, I could pull him sideways fucking all day of the week. But that's not productive in the boat.
Yeah.
So just keeping it steady was the way.
Yeah. Someone asked the question. Well, I think there was a lot of questions from like hardcore rowers that wanted to know stuff. What was your hardest training session ever? Is there one that stands out? A particular one, or
38 500-meter pieces. Back to
38.
back. So you do 500 meters as hard as you go. So quarter distance as hard as you can go, and then turn around back on. So this was a dick special.
That sounds terrible, by the way.
This is a special dick. Dick special. No communication. Didn't tell us what we were doing in Belgium. We knew we were
by the
building
way,
up
can
to it.
I say from a running perspective? So my coach,
If you just turned up and you're just like, this is what you're doing today, and he'd tell you, like, as you had your shoes on, you've just warmed up, and you'd be like, fuck. So you don't know if he goes,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to run 50K today. You'd be like, oh, hang on, I don't have enough gels, I don't have enough water.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
am I
yeah.
turning around? I haven't taken a shit, like whatever. You'd be like, whoa, and that was Dick. So we had to be prepared for anything. So
Expect the unexpected.
So I used to carry 2.5 litres of water in behind the boat. I had this little compartment at the back, and then Hamish and I used to share that if we had massive rows.
he sounds terrifying.
Yep.
Did you piss in the boat?
No, you just put your leg out and you
Right,
piss out.
right.
Yeah. So, but that was at 38 500-metre pieces was, and we didn't know. We got
How slow was the last one? Number
you mean
38.
the last like 15,
Right.
like treading in fucking cement. They were horrific. They were so slow, and we had like the girls' squad crying. Mahe was like half slide trying to row. Emma, I think, had quit, like I don't know if she'd quit, but she just wasn't even trying. Like she was just off her feet.
And she's a hard chick.
Yeah, and like that's number one. There's nothing, and like when people find out about it, and they're like, "Fuck off," you're like, because most people do probably 8 or 10. So we did like 4 times the amount at full speed. There's no, it was from go, bang, 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 as hard as you can go, because he's keeping time, so he can see how. Yeah, horrific.
That's
3.5
unbelievable.
hours. 3.5 hours on the water.
Do you Oh my god! How do you feel about him now? Like, are you angry? Do you look back with like rose tinted glasses and think,
I just like at the time, like because you just, I don't know. I've just got a good perspective on it that like he was doing it to get us good.
So do you think he's got a good heart and it came from a good place, or
He's trying. Because if we win, he looks good.
Yeah,
Any coach, right? Any coach that does something, they're not. And I always tell people, I'm like, if your coach tells you to do something, fucking do it. They're not telling you to do something for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
They are wanting you to be better. They're wanting you to win, because if you win, they look good. You look good, they look good. They're not going to waste their time or your time by just going, I'm not going to worry about them, because they're going to look like shit. Because if you get last, they'll be like, why would someone hire Joe Bloggs to be a coach when his fucking crews keep getting last? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Dick was he wanted us to win, and that was just his way of like, I think by doing this philosophy, I've trained them like a racehorse, flogging them like a dead racehorse, they're going to win. And that was his philosophy. And guess what? Rob, twins, Mahe, us, Mahe. How many else do you want to count up?
It's exceptional.
How many, like about 25 world champions?
Yeah, it's incredible.
So you go, he is literally New Zealand's best coach. He beats Arthur Lydiard hands down. Who else has got the same record that he does? Gordon Walker's starting to get up there with like Lisa and a few of the girls.
Right.
But Dick is number one in all Olympic sports in New Zealand. He is at the top.
Yeah.
Even though he's terrible with a lot of other things. His coaching record alone is second to none.
So if you went to a function today and he was there, like,
I'd say hi.
yeah.
He'd probably, there you go.
I don't know. Like, do you have like any sort of PTSD, or do any of the others have? No, you don't.
I think a few people do.
Yeah.
So one of the girls, this girl, Fiona Burke, she's come back to be like an athlete, like a holistic coaching thing. And I'm like, because she would have, I think she struggled with Dick.
Yeah.
And now she's come back to be like, we should do it a way different way than what we did with him. Because like she had some horrific times. And like, as you do, right?
Yeah.
There's some people that go, I absolutely hated my time with Thing. She did very well. They won a world championship title and a few other things, but then she blew out before blah, blah, blah. But yeah, coming back, I think if you can learn from some people's mistakes and make it better, obviously it's
it's a tweaking thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
so take the good, throw out the bad.
Take the good, throw out the bad.
How do you control pre-race nerves and anxiety?
It's always there. Deal with it and find a way. It's always going to be there. So the more you understand it, the better you'll get at just being like, I feel like I'm going to wee myself, or I feel like I'm shaking, whatever. It's always going to be there. So just know that when it's there, it means a lot, and and just find a way, and find everyone's going to be different. So you just deal with yourself and let everybody worry about themselves.
Right. Do you remember signing my breast at a regatta?
Where's that?
There was a question.
Maybe.
Someone said, how did you get through the why days? I suppose the days where you wake up in the morning and
why am I doing this? It's you've got to remember that it's long. Like you're waking up. You can't, like for us, as I said before, it's a 4-year campaign. I never woke up and went, yes, it's 921 days to the Olympics. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that there's a process, and some days you're just like, fuck, I don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. But you're not going to feel like that all the time. And the one thing that you learn over time is that there's periods where you just wear the shit out of yourself, and then the coach will be like, oh, we're having a light week, and you'll be like, oh, you beauty, and you get a quarter of the Ks pulled back, 20K rows turn into 16s. 12.
Long,
I know it's still long, but as a like us, it's like if your coach said to you, "Oh, you're not going to run 10Ks every day. You're only going to do 6," you'd be like, "Oh,
easy, what a treat."
And then of course by the end, and then on the Saturday he goes, "Right, we're going to do like a 5K as fast as you can." And you'll just be like, "Boof," and then like, "Yeah, you beauty," and it goes real
fresh.
fast because you're fresh. And so that's what happens is that you go in cycles, and you just realize that at one point in time, the reason that they push you right down is to basically wear you as far down as you can, so that then you go up,
build you up again.
And so you're gonna find that, and you might find it multiple times, but that's it. So just realize that it's a long game.
Yeah,
it's a long game. If you feel like that, like a week out from a race, you might have overtrained, or you could be sick, or whatever. But if it's in a training block, that's how you should feel. You shouldn't feel fresh every day.
Sounds like you guys overtrain, but you always seem to get it right.
Yeah, but that's what peaking's about. And you've got to trust, like everyone knows what peaking's about. You freshen up, you do less Ks, you stay off your legs, boom, where you go.
Like a taper period.
Yeah.
Greatest achievement outside of rowing?
Greatest achievement, holy shit.
That's a good question, isn't it?
Zach, of course it's Zach.
Yeah.
Managed to, greatest achievement, shit, I don't know. Jesus, what have I done? I'm down on a 2 handicap in golf. That's a good achievement.
That is a low handicap. Yeah, actually, it probably has something to do with your son, though. Like dealing with a kid that has extra
Greatest
needs.
achievement. I don't know.
I think that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
If not rowing, what?
I wish I'd been a golfer. I'm obsessed with golf, eh?
If you're on a 2 handicap, you must be.
I'm obsessed. I love it. It's such a fucking cool game. I played it as a kid, and because it's just like coming from being a professional athlete, like knowing and everything. Golf is just it's inches, it's millimeters, it's fucking tiny, and like you got mate, we
don't get you started. Oh, but God, you're a golf tragic.
I am a golf tragic now. I'm not going to lie.
What's your strength? Is it like you drive? Like have you got a big, powerful drive?
Or? Just trying to statistics.
Right.
If you get it in the fairway, you're probably going to get it on the. Well, you've got a statistically better chance of getting it on the green.
In regulation.
Then you can get it on the green, and then you try and close the distance down. Because if you've got a 20-foot putt, you're fucking not going to make it.
Yeah.
You've got an 8-foot putt, you've got a 70% chance of getting it in the hole, and then inside 6 feet, you've got an 80%.
Oh my God, you're so annoying.
I know.
Can you? You must drive yourself crazy. You can't do anything for fun. Golf's supposed to.
No. But if I miss one of those things, I'm like, oh well, I missed it.
Right,
whatever.
Right.
So
you're not throwing your clubs.
No. My mates throw my clubs. Fuck, it's funny. Jason, Jamie, and they just throw clubs. They're like, fucking muppet, and I'm like, come on, boys. Even if you just like learn how to play it, because most people are going to learn at some stage. You'll go to a driving range for a stag do or whatever it is. You just hit that one ball where you're like, yeah, holy fuck, here we go. And then of course, when you're on the golf course, a lot of golf courses like take a few beers in the bag, just go play 9 holes, sit at the bar afterwards. But it's the social side of it as well, which I think is that. And there's some people that are like, I'm not into super fitness, like cardio or lifting weights or whatever, but you can swing a golf club and just walk around, have a good time. Yeah. And a lot of women. Yeah, I play with a lot of women that like older women that just love playing their golf. It's great.
What I'd give to play off the ladies' tees.
Oh, yeah. And that.
Someone said, what made your peer so good? Why? How were you so... Was it training?
No, it was me. It was all me.
Yeah. No, was it training? Or was it just the perfect mix of personalities at the right...
Training, the differences of ourselves. So what Hamish bought and what I bought. But yeah, a lot of it was just the training of wanting to be the best. You just had Hamish who was just like, fuck, even if he lost a training, he'd be pissed off. And so you just got this super competitive guy that's just trying to be out, but like just beat everybody. And then I wanted to win. I probably wasn't that pedantic about like if I lost a couple of races, like or even trainings, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah,
Hamish would just be like, nah, I'm going to be number one all the time. So the differences of ourselves made it good, and we just managed to make a combination that will literally stand the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Iconic duo.
Yeah.
It's like Savage Garden or Simon and Garfunkel.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I honestly...
Torval and Dean.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely outstanding. Yeah, it's incredible. I think that'll do it. I don't know. We've got through a 6-pack and a bottle of rosé, which you brought around. It's been good. Hey, good luck for Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
I'm really excited to see how you go, because I don't know. It seems like you are unable to do anything without overthinking it and working out how to crack the code. You know what I mean?
I think, to be fair with this, I think cracking the code is just getting the votes. To be fair, you got to look pretty good, but I'm just going to try and do the best that I can. And it's something like, honestly, this is something I've never done, you know. And so in a way, you kill so many birds with one stone. Where you're doing something you've never done before. You're pushing your comfort zone. It's a challenge. You're doing it for charity. If I can make some profile, if I can get some cash off the side of it, it's great. You know what I mean? So there's
for you personally or for the charity?
Both.
No, but the money.
For the charity
maybe it's changed. But when Randall was doing it a couple of years ago, and then JJ a couple of years before that, it's a pretty shit hourly rate. It's not a great payment.
And that's the thing is, it's like you're taking time out of your own schedule, and you're sort of just replacing your schedule with this, and that's what it is for me. But if it can create more than that, you've got to. I just feel I got to do it, and that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. You know, because I got Zachy Boy, you know, and the autism side of things. So if I can create more awareness and it helps change not only him but other people on the autistic spectrum and the government level, if I can get up to that level, you're making a difference. Yeah. And at the end of 100%. The day, they're just trying to do that.
And it must be nice for you to do this at the age that he's at now, because I'm guessing for a lot of your rowing achievements, he was probably sort of too young to appreciate what was...
No, he was. He was... I finished Rio and he'd just turned 5.
Right. Oh, this is devastating. So you were the best in the world. And he's too young to remember. Now you're going to be a goose on TV.
He just plays. He used to play with the gold medals and like throw them in his toy box. And it was one time the media they came around to do like an interview or something, and I said to Jackie, "Where's the medals?" And she's like, "What do you mean they're on the thing over there?" And I'm like, "No, they're not." She's like, "What? Fuck." And I knew that he used to take them down and he like used to put he had them in his room or something, and he fucking threw them in the toy box with all his toys. And I was like, oh, okay, there they are. And they said they've got a few big dings and shit on them, but hey, who cares?
Yeah, they're for sharing. I had Hayden Wild on the podcast. He got a bronze medal in the triathlon at the Olympics last year. He said if you lose it or it gets stolen, they can't be replaced.
Nah, that's it.
But
so they make like say there's 300 gold medals given away, which is like teams events, blah, 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 blah. They make like 350, and the other 50 go to like museums and sporting Hall of Fame places and all this sort of stuff. So if you do it, you'd have to go, and like insurance doesn't even cover it. I think in the right situation, because they'd have to take the mold and then re-smelt a one.
Right.
So you'd have to go to one off. So it's like firing up something to do the... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not just one pattern in the mould, because they're not just going to make one pattern and repeat it 300 times.
Yeah.
They're going to make one that does 50 and do it 5 times.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know what I mean?
Oh, he's even put thought into this, how they make the medals.
Because I have, a couple of times. A lot of people ask that same question. They're like, well, what if you lost it? And because they're like trying to be a smart ass going, oh, yeah, what if we stole it off you? I'll be like, oh...
But do the medals that themselves? I mean, you're on the internet forever. Like it's
a tangible reward, and as I say, like like now the medals just sit at fucking home. What are they doing? I had to dust them off the other day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so and then some people put them in cases. So yeah, the medals are tangible reward, but you'll never lose the status of being an Olympic champion.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, I've had an interview with Barry McGee, who won a bronze medal in the 1960 Rome Olympic marathon, and so he's in his late 80s now, and he's still got his framed hanging up on the wall, along with his Olympic participation certificate.
Yeah. I've got all that. A lot of it's just sitting in the box, but that's it. Like whether you're going to put it on the wall, I don't know. It's just like, because sometimes people want to touch it or they want to play, whatever. And so you're like, well, do I put it in a case? Do I put it here? And you're just like, no, whatever. And I think it's just so different with everyone. Yeah,
maybe it'll have a life of its own. And as you get older, they'll mean more to you. But at the moment, it's like, man.
And if I ever get broke, I'll just chuck it on trading.
Cash converters. Yeah. Hey, Eric Murray, bloody wonderful to sit down with you. Thank you for being so generous with your time. You're you don't fit the mold of like an elite sports person, and I love that about you.
Hey, look, I'm honestly, this is just the person I am, eh? And
I love it. The authenticity is gold.
And I think that's the great part about it is I've never tried to change to do what I like. I've probably got I do have a business side to me when I need to be like a little bit more clean cut, I guess. But other than that, I'm just like genuine Kiwi, just genuine Kiwi bloke. Like, love a beer, love having fun, fart in public, just have a laugh. You know what I mean? Just that type of person. Yeah. And that's all I've ever been. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Don't go changing.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, team.
Thank you very much for joining us. That's Runners Only with Dom Harvey, episode 16, part 2 of our chat with Eric Murray, who is currently on Dancing with the Stars in New Zealand. And you can keep him in. Text Eric to 3333 for a 99-cent text, and that money goes to Autism New Zealand. Big thanks again to the sponsors of this episode, the Huawei Watch GT Runner. It's an amazing watch. Google it online. Do your research before you buy something. But if you want to buy it, you can get it at PB Tech, Noel Lemming, and JB Hi-Fi. I've always worn Garmin's, but since I got sent the Huawei Watch GT Runner, it's changed my life completely. It's got a built-in coach, so you get suggestions on training intensity, training volume, recovery time, and heaps more, all from a single run. It's also got a thing called the Running Ability Index to help you accurately assess current running ability and how it compares to your goals and where you want to be. So whether you're starting out at ground zero or you're already a serious runner, please consider this next time you're getting into the gadgets, the Huawei Watch GT Runner. Again, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. See you next week.